Hi, my name's Mike Lingle. I'm an entrepreneur and a mentor based out of Miami. I talk with a bunch of startups, I look at a bunch of pitch decks, and I just want to cover today what it is that makes a pitch deck great and compelling to me. So the first item is having a clear explanation. What is the business? What do you do? You'd be surprised at how many times I walk out of a meeting not really understanding, and a lot of that has to do with the entrepreneur not really understanding exactly what the market is and who the customer is. The second piece is there a business model? Is there a way to make money? Even with Facebook, where they delayed making money, they knew how to make money, and it was pretty clear how it was going to work. Again, you'd be surprised at how many pitch decks I look at that don't really have a clear revenue model. Is there traction? So what investors want to see is not just that you're claiming that something's going to happen, but that you've actually proven that it's starting to happen in the world. The team is obviously important. Have you done this before, or is this your first time? An understanding of your customer and your market. Who exactly is your customer, and what is the market? What is the market size? Is the market growing? These are important things. Is the business model defensible? So how likely is it that someone can copy what you do and beat you at your own game? Is there a clear understanding of the finances? Are you making money, losing money? How quickly are you burning the money? And then what is the potential growth story? Again, as an investor, what I really want to do is I want to make money. So I want you to show me how you're going to do that. So I've assembled a bunch of slides just from pitch decks around the web, and I'll walk you through kind of my thoughts as I go through them. So this is from an Airbnb pitch deck, and their tagline is book rooms with locals rather than hotels. So it's clear to me what that is. I picked another random company here. This is Gaze Metrics, know when your brands are photographed. Again, that makes some sense to me, and I can kind of understand what's happening. Switching back to the Airbnb deck, this is them talking about the problem that their customer faces, and then the solution that they've provided, and it's pretty clear, what the customer is getting out of that. And then they have some pictures of the product. So very quickly, they've explained exactly what they do and who they're appealing to. And then they talk about how many temporary housing options are available. So it's pretty clear that there's a large market. And then they go into the market size. And at this point, they already had 10.6 million trips being booked with Airbnb. So that's cheating a little bit. But that kind of gets into both the market size and the traction. So already I like them because there's a big market and they've already got traction. Again, your startup may not be there. Here's an example from Dwala, where they talk about how big the market is, and they actually say there's an incomprehensible number of payment volumes and amounts globally. So they make it pretty clear that there's a big market. Here's one from something called Choose, where they show how big the opportunity is in each different city. So again, as an investor, that makes some sense to me because I can start to evaluate how likely this company is to succeed in these different markets. So that's helpful. It's important to understand the customer, and a lot of time people don't understand the customer, especially when they look at Facebook, and Facebook is all things to all people. But it's really nice if you can dial it in. So Moz here shows exactly who their customer is and what % of their current members are represented by that customer. So even this is a B2B company, but even as a consumer-facing company, you need to understand exactly who your customer is. Even Facebook started with Ivy League college students. They did not start by being all things to all people. So back to Airbnb, they clearly explain the business model. They have 10.6 million trips being planned. They take a 10% commission. That equates to revenue. It makes complete sense. And then they talk about the market adoption and essentially how they're selling and who their partners are. So again, with Airbnb, this makes sense to me. They're getting pretty big and they're working with some pretty big companies and they already have a bunch of traction. They're going after events, they're going after partnerships, and they've figured something clever out with Craigslist, and all of this is working for them. So it's not just, hey, believe us, it's, hey, here's our traction. Now, obviously, you may be smaller. So here's something from Buffer where they talk about their business model, and they already have, they talk about the freemium model. They're showing 2% conversion from free to paid, so they already have some data. They're showing a 5% churn. They know the lifetime value of their customer, and they know how much they can pay to acquire a user. This is an example of a traction slide that sucks. It does not matter how many people sign up for your service. It only matters how much come back and how many people come back and use your service. This is an example of a vanity metric that Eric Ries talks about in the Lean Startup, because the chart will only ever go up and to the right. You will keep getting signups, but that doesn't mean anything. You can go out of business getting signups if no one's using your product. This is much better back to Buffer. So they have 55,000 total users. It's growing at 40% per month. 800 paying users, which is about a 1.5% conversion rate from total to paid. And you can see that this is a real business that's growing, and that makes me want to put money into them. Here's another example, and I didn't actually record what company this is from, sorry. But it shows that they're getting about 60% daily actives out of their total installed base, and those people are using the app 5 times per day. So again, that gives me some traction information in terms of usage, which is what's actually important. This is a great slide from BuzzFeed. This was the first slide in their deck. It shows me what the traction is, who's doing it, what the burn is, and a great quote from CNN.com. And already on slide 1, I'm interested because they've already got the buzz and they're already proving out the model. For the team slide, it's certainly helpful if someone on your team has crushed it before. In this sense, you have people with what looks like a couple exits, although it's not totally clear, and then you have a best-selling author. So these are things that make me trust the team more. It doesn't mean they're necessarily going to succeed, but it works in their favor. If you don't have that kind of credentials, this is a great slide from Buffer. These two guys don't have previous exits, but they talk about what they've done for Buffer. So this guy took from idea to revenue in 7 weeks. Wow, that's impressive. And then this marketer took Buffer from 200 to 55,000 users. So, okay, I believe. And then they have some really fantastic advisors involved. So it just seems like there's a good chance that this team will succeed. And they can do that even without having previous exits or a best-selling book. I want to understand the competitive landscape. So this is a slide from Airbnb, and you'll see a lot of these. Sometimes you'll see them with check marks, but it shows me on a couple axes where Airbnb stands in comparison to the competition. And then you get into the competitive advantages, and a lot of times people list things that aren't competitive advantages. So this first to market one is not really a competitive advantage. A lot of companies have fallen to both Microsoft and Apple, who are not first movers, but come in and crush the market. So you need to be a little careful about what exactly is a competitive advantage. But as an investor, I want to know that the business is defensible. So actually being a best-selling author, for example, that's defensible because it's hard for someone else to do that. This is another example of competitive advantage. So if you already have a network, so if I already have 300,000 people, and if I already have a proven track record, those are things that are appealing to investors. And then you want to make sure you ask for something in the pitch deck. Sometimes I see pitch decks just end, but here's an example from Intercom. It tells you they're raising $600K on a convertible note, tells you what they're going to use that for, and tells you what the next step is going to be. This is great from Buffer too. Those first 2 items have already been achieved, and the next 4 items are what they're going to do. So that's great. It kind of sets you up for the future. So that's what makes a great pitch deck. Thank you so much, and check out my blog at mikelingle.com. Thank you.